I cried at the end because I had to move on from this story. Like, this is a book that I would have read a million extra books afterwards. I would have read all the duologies, all the novellas. I wouldn't have cared. I wouldn't have cared if there was nothing to say. I just wanted to be in these sisters' lives, and I still think about these sisters all the time. We are back for another Christian review of regular books, and this time we are discussing my favorite book of last year and probably one of my favorite books of all time, The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. If you haven't been here before, if you've never seen one of these videos before, here's how it's gonna go down. First, I do my regular review, everything that I personally think of this book, my star rating, etc. But then I get into my Christian review where I go over the basic pieces of a book that may or may not have a fellow believer or frankly anyone wanting to read it. Now, I do give an age range at the end of that as well. And if you're wanting way more detail about these Christian reviews, you can click here somewhere, it should be there. Also, you can make sure to click the video that's pinned to the top of the playlist. But for now, let's go ahead and get into my regular review. The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna was a book club pick. I knew after reading Firefly Lane that I was going to love Kristen Hanna's writing, and then add to that, this is a World War II historical fiction, which is my favorite time to read about. Truly just, I love World War II historical fictions, and I knew I was in for a treat. This book had me so much in my feels, I could not explain it. It follows two sisters who are French and going through World War II from the French perspective. And what I loved about it is it really does help you see it from a different point of view, right? Ultimately, France became a part of the Nazi regime and kind of supported them in that aspect. However, the people that were on the ground, the people that were just trying to survive day to day, didn't necessarily agree with what was happening with the Nazis. And I absolutely loved being able to grow this empathy and compassion and understanding of the perspective from totally different viewpoints. On top of that, these sisters just had me so obsessed. I do think that this book took you through so many things. Like, you just go through so much of life with these characters. I cannot believe it. Like, when I think about all the things that happened in this book, I'm still shocked. And yet, it's not glossed over. It's not quick. It really does deal with the emotions, with the situational depth, with the dynamics that characters develop in. It was beautiful and beautifully well done. I cried throughout this book, and then I sobbed at the end. And I didn't cry or sob at the end because the ending was sad, although it had some sad aspects. I cried at the end because I had to move on from this story. Like, this is a book that I would have read a million extra books afterwards. I would have read all the duologies, all the novellas. I wouldn't have cared. I wouldn't have cared if there was nothing to say. I just wanted to be in these sisters' lives, and I still think about these sisters all the time. I will be doing a reread of this book. I will be reliving my experience in it because it was beautiful and perfect and just such an incredible book. This was one of my 6-star reads of 2024. It is truly one of the best books I've ever read, and I will remain on that 6-star read hill forever. Like, this is the book that broke the scale. It is beautiful, it is top-notch, and it is just everything. This is the first book that I've ever read that I actually stopped reading it and read something else because I knew it was going to end and I didn't want it to. I cannot express to you enough how much this book just means to me, how much I love it, and how much you should read it, from my own personal opinion, okay? Just, it's beautiful. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you can stay up to date on all of the things that we are doing on this channel. Also, please know we do not want to end the conversation here. You can leave a comment down below, or you can send us an email at hello@trochia.org. But for now, let's go ahead and get into my Christian review. The first category I always love to touch on is smut or spice. Now, my experience is that Kristen Hanna writes 1 to 2 spicy scenes throughout the books, and in this one, that is the exact same. On top of that, one of the spicy scenes deals with more of a sexual assault, but it is described enough that you would either need to skip past it or be okay with reading it. Her spice tends to move the story along and develop character dynamics. It's not so long where it's chapters and chapters where you're just having to skip past. However, it is in there. The second category is explicit language. Now, this does take place in the 1940s, so no, there is no explicit language throughout this book. I think maybe one scene once. Other than that, I think you're fine. The third category is violence and gore. Now, again, this takes place in World War II in France. You are dealing with a lot of war. They experience concentration camps. There is so many aspects of this story that are intimately and detailed and described that are violent or gory. And it is accurate, sadly, but it is in there. It was actually authentic to what was happening in that time in our world. Ultimately, I think this is probably best for ages 16 and up. Again, there are some very extremely heavy topics. However, I would believe that this could help develop empathy, compassion, awareness, history lessons, and so much more to a high schooler who is reading this book. If you want to see what I'm reading and rating in real time, you can follow me on Goodreads. You can also find me on Instagram, TikTok, and I do have my own YouTube channel, so you can see more of my day-to-day reading journey. As always, you can find everything you need down in the description box below, so click on over there, and I cannot wait to see you on the next one.